Batho ba Modimo, let me share something with you about lenyalo before you get into that type of a setup, especially as a female, because you must consider that as a lady, you are actually leaving your surname to carry a man's surname. That means that when you get into that surname, you're getting into someone's kraal. When you get into someone's kraal, there's a certain way in which they do things. There's a belief, there's a system, there's cultural practices, there's behaviors, there's so much that you can obviously now have to start learning your family. But the biggest one, it's a spiritual system that whether they practice or not, it's already there. So as an example, it might happen that you are a female and then you just got married and then you lost a job. And then you wonder why. You know why? Sometimes it might be the case that you got married into a crowd that doesn't actually believe that female must work. The system that believes, the family system that believes, mosadi o belonga ko kitchen. So those are the things that you need to be careful of, to be mindful. So if you get into that type of an agreement, lenyalo leo, you get into that crowd, chances of losing the job are very high because spiritually that family doesn't believe that. And there's more examples that obviously we can make. Sometimes it has nothing to do with how the family believes, how they conduct themselves. But you get into a surname that has curses, but they never bother to fight those curses. They never bothered. Those curses will also affect you, just by the way. And then there's so much that we can talk about. So in essence, what I'm trying to say now is that even if you can be a gone girl, booyah, gone girl, booyah. So the first thing that you need to do is to do a background in terms of that surname that you're going to be married into, because you're not only going to marry a guy as a gone girl, you are going to marry a guy but into his family name. And then that family name spiritually will control you. How they're going to control, it's highly dependent on how they do things. That's why historically our parents, used to be very, very strict in terms of which family you're going to get married into. They actually used to choose for you. I'm going to get married, and they were like, no, you can't get into that surname, because they understood the issues of that specific family. That's why the Khalin, and it's probably one of the reasons also why they used to last in marriages before compared to now. Nobody gets into an agreement, to divorce. People want to succeed. The only issue is that sometimes we're just missing the basics up front. You're not focusing on, let me consider some of the things before I get into this agreement, and then you find yourself, but then it's already too late. Especially when it comes to spiritual system, then there's some of the things that obviously can be changed depending on partner, but then there's also things that you cannot change. They always going to be like that, because it's a spiritual system, your family. So those are the things that before you even get into lenyalo, just check the background. Because okanyala, and then you realize that's actually, it's a start of your downfall. Things won't go well for you, simply because you got into a family case and then you were not even aware. Some of those things amongst others. And then there's people that can say, we used to be good, we used to be okay when we dated, but as soon as we got married, hell broke loose. It's simply because of surname or getting moyona. As long as it's a background check. So be careful. Before anybody gone girl, check the background motto. And then if you get into that, then it means you must be ready to say, this is what they're experiencing. This is how we're going to navigate with my partner. But if you get into that agreement without knowing what their challenges are, then it's going to be a problem. So do a background check. How can at least you must know what you're putting yourself into.